Over the years of hiring for data science positions, I've seen some truly horrendous CVs. Not that they're bad or that the applicant didn't put in the effort, it was that the effort was misplaced. They do too much rather than too little. For example, I have some open up on my screen right now. Some CVs come with these smiley faces. What is the interviewer supposed to think of them? What does that even mean, right? So you're happy with the current level? Are you upset about this programming language? You feel the most joy when you're writing TensorFlow code? Seriously, what is your interviewer supposed to think? And then you have some that uses fancy pie charts and aesthetics like that. And nothing says that you're a data scientist more than an aesthetically confusing pie chart. So zoom in on this and tell me if you can tell the difference. Which is higher, this or that? So problems with job seekers is that you have some misconstrued idea about what looks good to you, but are truly unsemantic, unhelpful to the recruiter. And they can really hurt your chances when it comes to getting those interviews, because when you put those CVs alongside the more professionally written ones, the contrast just got magnified, and you're not doing yourself any favor by doing too much and packing all these fancy elements onto 2 sheets of paper faxed across a fax machine. So I don't know, let me help you fix that. I haven't done a lot of content in R lately, so I thought to switch things up a little bit. I asked members of 2 data science groups some days ago about how everyone is creating their CV or their resume, and I've got some pretty interesting response. And I thought, hey, a video on how I would create a resume would be great value to many people, since it doesn't seem like there is a lot of or maybe there is great consensus yet about how it's done. Also because many data scientists, or most data scientists, are already familiar with RStudio in the first place. So this is what we'll be creating. Of course, this is the finished product, a nicely formatted, very well-structured PDF. There are a ton of templates you can use, and you can generate all these cool-looking PDF, resume, CVs, and I'll upload the templates alongside with the examples on my GitHub. So if you want to just dive right in after the video, you absolutely can. Credits to Park Byung-jin, who goes by the username PaulSquid0 on GitHub, for creating this project called Awesome CV. Awesome CV is a latex template for CV. CV stands for Curriculum Vitae, resume or cover letter inspired by fancy CV. So it is easy to customize your own template, especially since it's really written by a clean semantic markup. What's the difference between CV and resume, you ask? Well, I actually just googled that as well. I don't know. 30 years of adult did not prepare me for this answer. So first result from Google tells me, and I'm going to read this off Google, a resume is a brief summary of your skills and experience over 1 of 2 pages. A CV is a more detailed and can stretch well beyond 2 pages. So the resume will be tailored to each position, whereas the CV will stay put and any changes will be in the cover letter. So CV is typically something you prepare once and you use it for the next 5 years, right? And maybe not 5 years, but then you add a cover letter on top of that. So we don't have time to nitpick over semantics. We'll stick to the usage of CV. I'm gonna just say CV. I'm not gonna switch between them in this video. Now, obviously, since we're doing all of this in RStudio, you want to have that installed already on your machine. If you don't, pause the video, do a quick Google search on how to get it on your system. If you're on Linux, I'll show you how to do that real quick. So as usual, you want to do your sudo app update and you want to do your sudo app upgrade, and then you say -y means to just not ask me at all, just yes, the default, right? So instead of us prompting you to answer yes or no, we're gonna use the space. Do you want to proceed or not? Yes or no? I'm just gonna say yes to that. So I'm gonna speed up that. And when you're done, you want to do a quick Google search on the RStudio's website, find the latest version of that. For me, that's just gonna be, at the time of recording, obviously, I'm gonna just say wget, and I'm just gonna say rstudio.org, and then there's the version here, 2022.02.1. This is the latest version. If you're watching this on the first week of May, second week of May of 2022, this is probably still gonna be updated. If you're watching this video but in 2023, you may want to find the latest one. So go to rstudio.org, click on the latest one. There should be instructions, just do a wget. So let me do that, run that. Once that is done, just go ahead and just do an install. So it says it's downloaded here. So this is the version you want to pass into here. So sudo apt install, and there is the RStudio 2022. Just copy the whole thing, paste it back in there. Right, so let's run that. Okay, it says building dependencies, reading, updated, installed. All right, so now it's done. And if you want to remove that, you just have to follow the same process, but then you remove instead of install. All right. To launch it, all you need to do is to type RStudio. So you hit enter, that will just launch up RStudio. Now for the Windows and for the Mac folks, I'm gonna switch over to my browser and to show you very quickly how you can find information on that. Okay, so what I did was I just do a Google search. I just said RStudio download Mac or RStudio download Windows, Windows 10, Windows 11, and then once you're in there, click on the downloads page, and now it says choose your version. You can just click on the RStudio desktop. That's all you need. Click on download. RStudio install R, so if you don't have that, you want to install that as well. Then you have the RStudio download, and then here you pick the one that you have. So I don't know what that would be for you. Maybe RStudio Windows 10. That's your OS. You click on that if you're using Mac OS. That's that. There are also other versions of other Linux distributions. You can also find the right one and just install that. That should just take you 1 or 2 minutes, so go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in RStudio. Okay, now that you're in RStudio, proceed to install the vitae package. I know it's spelled vitae, and if you pronounce that as vitae, I guess that's fine, but apparently the right pronunciation is vitae. So you want to do an install.packages and you want to say vitae. So vitae, that is, right? So if you hear me pronounce vitae and you feel like, well, that's such a weird pronunciation, well, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a native English speaker. So let me hit on that, install packages. When you first launch RStudio, you should see this console, right? So console is what you want, and then you just want to say install the packages vitae, and it would just show you that it's gonna go ahead and run that process, and it will be finally downloaded. And you want to check that all of this is downloaded. Go to packages, and within packages, let me move my images, move my portrait to the side so you can see this, and just search vitae. So curriculum vitae for R Markdown. All right, that's what you want. So if you have that, then it means that you've fully installed that. You've correctly done that. If you don't have that, and you're not sure how to use the terminal, you're not very familiar with this is okay. Click on install and then type the name of that and then click on install. That should still work. So do this and then say tap on that and then click install. It should try to give you auto completion anyway. So it would try to give you completion. Just pick the right one and then say install. All right, I already have that, so I'm not going to do this. And then what you want to do next is to proceed to click on a file, new file. You can also use a new project. If you're familiar with RStudio, you say that this whole thing should be a project. Go ahead, absolutely go ahead and do that. All right. I think in fact let's probably do that. And here I'm gonna say new directory. Yeah, I'm gonna say new directory. And here it asks me if this would be a new project or package. You may not see all of this because you will have a different kind of setup, installation, different kind of packages on your machine. So you may not see all of the option, but all you need to do is to click on new project and give it a name and select wherever you want this to be. I'm gonna select desktop, and I'm gonna put this as a CV tut. So CV tutorial, all right? So CV tut that is, and I'm gonna say create project. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna relaunch this RStudio, but now you're gonna be in CV tut, and that's how you know it. You have this is the location of your project. So you can also do get WD, and it will tell you that you're currently in desktop CV tut. All right. Now what you want to do next is you want to say file, and you want to say new file, and you want to say R Markdown. So if you're following R Markdown, and there are a few options here. You can have document, presentation, shiny, from template. If you've been doing the installation correctly, you could just click on the from template and you just have to pick from one of them. Now there are so many templates that you can pick from, and I'm going to show you real quick what those different templates look like. So here we are on the README page of vitae, and we have 6 different templates. There's Awesome CV, this is what we're going to be using, but there's also Hyman, there is also Markdown CV, Latex CV, Modern CV, 20 seconds. So they're all together 6 of them, right? And we're going to, we are going to try and experiment with the different templates, but for a start, I guess we're just going to stick with one of them, and we're not going to do too much. So let me close down the window. And I'm gonna pick Awesome CV format, right? So that's what I'm gonna pick. So I'm gonna click on that. It's gonna ask me for a name, right? So I'm gonna say CV tut as well. So, whoops, not CV tut, CV tut. And I'm gonna say OK. And now it's gonna open up an RMD with all of this information in there, with a lot of the templates already filled in for us. And if you want to, just absolutely just click on need right here. It may prompt you to install certain things. For example, a text. A mini text or a latex package. Let me go ahead and try that first. So I'm gonna click on need, and it's gonna go ahead, do all of that, and bam, this just appeared. So if I click on need again, let's see what happens. It's gonna go ahead and run some kneading, and then it's gonna appear. So I have my cvtut.pdf open data. I have that open out. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here just to show you what it looks like. Right, you can see there is a name, there is a professor, there's some stuff about me, education. So this is pretty good. It gives you a lot of a lot of these templates already. You just need to go in there and swap them. In fact, if you want to, this is the end of the video really. There's really not that much more to it. But let's go ahead and change a couple of things here and see see those changes being reflected. And then I'm gonna change the template as well. Or maybe I should change the template and show you how it looks like before we go any further. So I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm gonna say from Awesome CV, I'm gonna change that to let's just take all of this, add a comment to that. So what we have now is to change the template out a little bit and see what happens from there. So instead of Awesome CV, we're actually gonna use Heinemann, Professor Heinemann. So I'm gonna save that, and then I'm gonna say need. Same thing. Okay, we miss out the package. So this is exporting this from the package. So this is the package. We're saying export that from that. So sorry for that. So let's click on that again, and now it's gonna do that. Okay, now it appears. And now this is Heinemann's template. So you have the name on the left, then you have the curriculum vitae, and then you have the location, the school, phone numbers, emails, Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn, and you have the education, you have the Nobel Prizes, publications. All right, so this is another template. Let's do one more template before we start to actually modify some of this. All right, so let's take a look at one more template. I want to show you Markdown CV, so let's do that. Markdown CV. So let's save that and let's knit that. And Markdown CV is going to open up this HTML where you can export and put that on your blog, I guess. You can have that on your blog. You can have that somewhere, anywhere where it's a simple one-pager description about yourself. So that's that. By the way, RStudio has this very nice built-in that you can preview that directly from RStudio. You don't have to open up a browser if you don't want to. You can click on open in browser if you want to, but it would preview that for you, and you could see the name, your profession, your school, and then all of these little details, and even have the hover effect. So it's pretty nice. I poisoned myself doing research. I was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. I was the first person and only woman to win a Nobel Prize in 2 different sciences. All right, so let's close that out. And let's try one more. So I'm gonna this time try modern CV. So instead of Markdown CV, I'm gonna have modern CV, and I'm gonna save that again. And I'm also gonna just need that. And this is how modern CV looks like. So modern CV looks like that. Gonna zoom out a couple of times. So there's the name, there's all these publications, Nobel Prize, education. All right, so that's pretty cool. There's some of so these are some of the pre-built-in templates. You can use one of them. I'm gonna stick to awesome CV. So let's change that to awesome CV and save that. I already have a few details, so I'm just gonna copy and paste mostly. So just to save you some time, but I'm gonna show you kind of do it one of my friends here. So name, I'm gonna have that as Vincent, and surname, I'm gonna have that as Yannizi. In fact, I'm gonna drag this down a little bit because they're not really that useful anyway. And just to save you some time, I'm just gonna speed up the video a little bit while I'm just filling out all these details, and I'm gonna show you a little bit some tricks here and there about how you can also use Markdown, and I'm gonna talk about that once this is done. So I'm gonna speed it up a little bit more. All right. Okay, when it comes to the date format, this is kind of a R format, series.time. So if you don't know what this is doing, let me go to the console and let me show you. If I were to just, I wonder if clear would work. No, clear doesn't work here. So you need to click on this one. I guess there's a way to do that in R, but I'm not sure what it is now. So if you don't know what sys.time is doing, so this date R format, what does it do? So this is an inline chunk to say that evaluate, using R to evaluate this. So if you take sys.time, you print that out, you have the date today, right? You have the 2022-04-27, and then there's the time zone, there's the 21, there's hour, and a minute, and then seconds. So what you can do is to format this, so you just have to wrap this whole thing under format and then specify a format. So let me copy that, paste that in here, and now it's gonna show you April 2022. The capital Y stands for 4-digit year. This stands for 2-digit year. You can change that, and you can have maybe year in front, and then you can have B after that, or you can have month, and you see 2204, so you can also have dash, right? So I guess you can do this, but here the capital B itself is gonna spell the month itself. So if you change this to B, it's gonna say April, right? Compare that to a lowercase b where it's just gonna show you the abbreviation. So instead of APRIL, it's gonna just spell out the first 3, so it's APR, right? APR 2022. So what you're saying here is that date, instead of actually hard coding a string, like what, April 2022, you're actually saying that no, actually use R. So every time you need this, it takes the current time, the time of execution, and it's gonna fill that in for you. So your CV is gonna always have that latest updated date. So every time you open that up, you make some modifications. You don't have to hard code the date and then remember to replace the date again. So let me just go back to this one. So this is actually pretty smart. And when you do an R format, it's kind of a way for you to say this in the R Markdown is saying that this is where you evaluate before you render that as text. So here it's gonna evaluate that under using R, and then it's gonna render that, all right? And then you have the output. In here, I'm gonna just say awesome CV, and that's the theme I'm gonna use. So because of that, I'm just gonna do Command Shift C, Command Shift C again. So Command Shift C is kind of a way to uncomment that and command that, all right? And then within this, we now have the option chunk, and this is gonna say echo equals to false, meaning every time you see any of this, it's saying that if when you render that into PDF, don't print this. So if you can actually set this to be something like echo equals to true. So echo equals to true is gonna print this out when you render that. Let me show you what I mean by that, right? Let me say knit, and notice that now the code chunk that generates this is gonna show. So when you say echo is to true, it's gonna say, okay, this is the code that the developer is using to generate that. If you don't want this, and usually you don't want this because the guy that you're receiving, unless you really wanna, I don't know, some sort of weird flex, you wanna show people that, hey, I generate my CV using R and R Markdown. If you wanna, if that's kind of your thing, then I'm not judging you. But generally, I don't tend to use that. So it's kind of a nice thing that we don't have that. So it's kind of a nice thing that we actually, let me shrink this down a little bit, right? Just keep it here. Kind of a nice thing that we just said on the setup, in the setup instruction, we just said all the chunks here, instead of actually having to do this manually, do all of this like false. Instead of having to do this manually, each one, copy that and then paste it. Instead of doing that manually, there's a lot of chunks here. If you go all the way down, you have to do it 3 times. You don't want to do that. Instead, what you want to say is the default of all of that equals to false. And if you run this, if there's any kind of warning, for example, if you load a library, some libraries like to give you some sort of message saying that, oh, Tiber is currently compiled under R version 3.4 and you're currently on 3.6. It gives you some sort of warning, and that looks very ugly if you get rendered out. So you don't want it to appear on your PDF or your CV as well. So what you want to do is also set that to false, message equals to false. So any kind of warning, any kind of message that's gonna be completely suppressed, right? So your PDF is just gonna be clean, nice, no crappy warnings, messages that the recruiter doesn't care for, right? And now there is some stuff about me. I'm gonna change that to summary, and I'm gonna paste in a quick summary here. By the way, you realize that all of this is markdown format. So this is kind of a bullet points. If you change this to a dash, it would also work. So let me show you that. If you change this to a dash and you save that and you knit this and you compare the results, it's still gonna be the dash, the dot, right? So point number 1, save that, knit it. Now you see that there's still point number 1, but it's still gonna be the same thing. By the way, if you, this is markdown, so you could also do something like, instead of unordered list, you could have ordered list. So you could have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and save that. And if you need that, it's gonna now be ordered list, right? So if you take a look here, no, it's a little bit small. Let me move my environments a little bit, windows here a little bit. Right, you see that now you have the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is ordered list. And you can combine them. Obviously, you can also have another list here. You can say, which is a pretty big deal. Nobody has done that before. I mean, I was the first woman, so that's kind of that. I don't get enough credit for that. I don't get enough credit for that. Let me remove that. But let me change this to 2 dashes. Right, save that, and now it should knit, and yep, now it's showing. So you have the 1, 2, 3, and then you have the unordered list. So you have the ordered list here, 1, 2, 3, and then, but now it starts again, right? So I want to make sure that this doesn't do that. So we're gonna tap this in and stick that to 1. You probably have to add 4 spaces, 3, 4, right? 3, 4. Let's save that. So yeah, click on have the knit on save turn on, so it's easy to iterate. And now it's done. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and then 4. All right, cool. So I guess if we try this, okay, now it's working. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then now you have unordered list, and then you have the 4, right? So this is all just basic Markdown. If you want to learn more about Markdown, you can. But here, this is the first level heading. If you want to change that, you want to say this is some description about myself. So description and work summary. So I'm gonna change that, and let's see, right? Save that. And now you will have the description. This is the second level heading, and then they have a work summary. There's a third level summary. So you can have kind of a quick bullet points, and this is a work summary, and you can put your work summary in there. All right, so there is all of this. So these are all just basic Markdown, which also mean that you can use Markdown. So I could bold this. I could say only woman. I really want to stress that, so I'm going to save that. And let's actually make sure you see all of this. So let me slightly above here. All right. So that you can see all of the changes that are making here. And now you have the bolded there. All right. So if you don't want to have that, you can also change. You can also have an underscore here. So underscore is just going to italicize that. And now you see I don't get enough credit for that. So there's there's that underline, there's that italicized font style, and then there's the bold style here. All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just add some details into the work summary, and I'm gonna save that. By the way, I want to talk about links as well. So links are pretty important. But now you see that there's the bullet points, there's the work summary, and in here I use a few bold fonts as well, and that's kind of okay. So this is Vincent Yanezi, and this is his work summary, and this is his bullet points. Obviously bullet points are pretty crappy. You want to change that, and obviously it's not going to be the only woman. It's going to be this is a man's name, I'm sure. So want to change that. But you can see all of the links are up here, right? So how do you, if you want to add new links to that, how do you do that? So let me show you how you add links. This is not even a CV thing. This is not even the awesome CV thing. This is really just basic Markdown. All right. So let me show you how I do that. So to add that, you want to have something like, for example, where I was published regional themes. I am adaptable to new environments. Let's say you want to link this to, or let's say you want to link this to Fortune 500 companies. So you want to add something like this, and you want to say this should be a link. So the way you do that is you add a square bracket around the surrounding text, and that become a link text. And then from there, I'm gonna find a link, say Fortune 500 companies, and I'm gonna search for the Wikipedia entry for that, and gonna click on that Wikipedia, enter, and I'm just gonna copy this and paste it within this. So now what we have is turning this into a link. So if I look, I mean, here these are all just normal cursor, but then when I come to this one, this now becomes a link, so you can see that, all right? And if I hover over that, this links to the Wikipedia article. If I click on that, it's gonna open up a browser and gonna bring me to that page on Wikipedia. So that's how you create a link. And if you want to, you could just have a nice summary of links. That's what I typically do to link to all my different projects. Like these are all the different projects, you can check them out. It adds a little bit of credibility, I guess. So let me do that real quick, and maybe after the education, after education I could add this section, and then here I'm just gonna have a set of links, and I'm gonna use the same thing that I just taught you. So you have the square bracket, that's that, and then you have your name, or you have your URL, right? So your URL is gonna be after the square bracket, and you want to put them into a bracket as well. So square bracket, this is what's gonna appear. Let me save that. Let me need this because I have that checked already. So now it's gonna open. And if I look at my Ocular, this is what's gonna happen. So here, links. So I have my LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow. If I click on any of this, it's gonna bring me to that page. It's gonna open that up in a page, right? So that's pretty nice, right? In fact, I wonder if I could also bold my name here. So not my name, but Vincent Yanezi. And now I can see that being bolded, so Vincent Yanezi, and that becomes a sort of a link. And if you want to make it very clear that it's a link, you could just add underscore to everything, I guess. But let's not worry about that. So then you have your achievements and stuff. And the way this works, it uses this thing called a tribble. So it generates something like a table format, tribble, and it says that the column would be year, type, and then description. So if you look at the year, the type, and the description, you see that it does some very clever formatting. So that's the year, but then this is a type. So where did this number price in comes from? Well, that comes from the RStudio itself, where you change this and you say glue the text, and you say the text should be number. So this is kind of like an f string in Python. So instead of actually f string, this would be something like this in Python, f string. But you have number price in, and then here you pass in that the type of that. So the type of the first one is physics, so it's going to be number price in physics, and the next one will be chemistry, so number price in chemistry. And then there's a description from there, and you just say, okay, take that and then just sort of render them using these brief entries. All right. You could obviously try and play around with this as well. You can change this from brief entries to detailed entries, and if you save that, and now we have detailed entries. So this is detailed entries. Now you have the awarded for her work on radioactivity, and awarded for discovery of radium and polonium, and then you have the year and stuff, right? So that's kind of the difference. You have the brief entries and you have the detailed entries. So let me show you. There's also the bibliography entries here. So I guess you can have another table. In fact, we're gonna do just that. So since this is a brief entries, I'm gonna create a detailed entries, and I'm gonna put that under maybe achievements. I'm gonna put work history. So it's kind of the same thing from up there. So I have the column, row, company, location, dates, and details. These are things that you can customize. So I'm gonna send all these templates to you. I'm gonna put them on GitHub. You can just download that. and you can just customize that. All right, so this is a super type and stuff. And if you run into any error, I know what kind of error you're going to run into, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. So stay with me for a little bit. I'm going to show you how to fix that error. If you run into any kind of latex, or it doesn't have a pandoc, it doesn't know how to generate the PDF, I know what kind of error you have. I'm going to show you how to do that. Right, so there's the row column. So there's a row column called company, location, dates, details, and I'm going to use the same format. And then here, this is just a comment. This is not really saying that, this is not really a header, because this is within the code itself. If you put it outside of the code, then this becomes a header, but in the code itself, this is just a comment, just to sort of format that a little bit. And then right here, I'm going to have, instead of brief entries, I'm going to have detailed entries, and I'm going to put the 5 of them, and I'm going to save that. So let's take a look at the entry. And now under notable experience, we have the company, the name, co-founder, I'll with my co-founder, and then Hypergrowth, Gumi Asia. So I have all of that. All right. And if you want to, you could turn all of this into links as well. You can turn this super type into a link, algorithm into links. These are my businesses. So you can click on that and you just go to the website, right? So finally, let's put together some of the, some other projects that we have. So there's a publication. Let's do it right beneath here. Library deployer is really required because you have this, and then you have arrange as well. So I guess that's also that. But if you want to do everything in base R, you can. I'm just going to add another section here. It's called community projects. So here, this is the header one, and I'm going to have header 3 in here, and I can say a series of initiatives to promote a healthy ecosystem that is centered on actual business adoption and real education, away from the hype and noise of Web3, of blockchain for enterprises. And within this, I want to bold this part of the sentence, right? So I put them under these 2 asterisks and then 2 asterisks. So this is going to bold that. And if you want to, you could make this italicized. I'm just doing all of this just to show you a demo. Obviously, you don't want to, just blindly copy that. You want to think about what needs to be bolded and what doesn't need to be bolded. I'm doing all of this just to show you, how it looks like. And if you scroll over at the bottom, you see now there's the blockchain community projects, blockchain academy, and now it goes on. It has this 0.001. If I take that away, save that, and bring this back, now it goes back to this normal header again. All right. So you can have the kind of hierarchy structure if you want, hierarchical structure if you want. I'm going to stick to this simple one. And then I have a series of initiatives. If I look at that, this is bolded. This is exactly what I want. This is italicized. It's also exactly what I want. And then I have the link, learn blockchain. And then this is one of my initiatives, one of the portal that I'm building out called learnblockchain.academy. If you want to learn more about blockchain, cryptography ideas and stuff, go absolutely look at that. I have a few videos on my YouTube channel. I have a whole playlist of Ethereum smart contract. If you want to learn about Solidity smart contract programming and using Brownie in Python, you can learn that on my channel. And this is the link to that. So I'm also going to put that. This is going to render it nicely. So I have the link, and so you have this links being generated for each one of them, right? If you want them to be numbered, so ordered lists, you can just change them to 1, 1, 1, right? Some of you like to have it like 1, 2, 3. I like the 1, 1 approach because it doesn't matter how much I add into it. So for example, if I add something in here, I say, oh, actually I have another website I want to bring into. So I want to put another one. This is to my blog, for example. Now I need to change everything. I need to change this to 2, to 3, to 4. And then if this list is very long, I need to change all the way at the bottom. So I prefer the 1, 1, 1 approach because I don't need to do that. I just have to add another item in here. I don't have to worry about changing any of that because it's just automatically being generated for you anyway. So I like to just stick to 1, 1, 1, but it's up to you. All right. And then here I just have a few other items. Again, links, so 1, 1, 1 approach again. And that's it. That's kind of it. Now, if you run into any error trying to do that, I know what kind of error you're getting. And the error is because it doesn't know how to take this R Markdown. It doesn't have the engine to generate the text, the TEX document, and from the text document, it couldn't generate the PDF. So what you want to do, the easy fix, is to go ahead and install this thing called a tiny text. This is the easiest approach. I promise you this is the easiest approach. If there is an easier way, let me know. But to fix any kind of like text rendering, so text meaning TEX, okay, there's a latex. If you see any kind of error, it's likely going to be that. If it cannot generate that, if all of this, it can't generate the PDF because of certain rendering engine is complaining that it cannot find that, then you want to go ahead and do this. Install .packages, and you want to say something like mini text. Sorry, not mini text, but tiny text. This is going to install the latex on your computer, and latex is required to compile that into proper latex in order to output a PDF. All right. So the package requires latex, and if you don't have that, this tiny text is the fastest way to get around that. All right, so click on install the packages, tiny text. If you want to do this packages way and then click on install, you can do that. Oh, I think it's blocking your view now, but you can also go into packages and click on install, and then from there you can just punch in the name as well. Honestly, this is not that hard. So click on console, type install the packages, tiny text, and then wait for it to finish install. This should take a while, all right, but just be patient. Once that is done, use the method provided by tiny text, and it's called the install tiny text, and it's gonna go ahead and proceed to install the LaTeX engine for you on your computer. If you don't encounter any issue, it likely means that you're probably an academic, you already have LaTeX on your machine, and so you don't need this at all. But I think some of you watching this video may come across that. You say, I don't know what LaTeX is, never heard of that, never had to use that. Okay, so it takes all of this and it generates this TX format, so that if you look at your files, you will see that there are a lot of files being created while you're running all of this. And so that's kind of what it's doing, right? And then from there it generates the PDF, all right? So if you don't worry about what I just said there, just continue to do that. So first step, do an install the packages and then do tiny text. So that's the one you want. In the packages itself, if you click on install, you can also search for tiny text, and this is the one you want. So click on install and then later call the function that I gave you earlier. So that's tiny text and then double colon. So double colon basically says from this package itself. So take this function from this package, and you can also then call check install to make sure that it has been installed. So if a package has been installed in tiny text or text live, then this will return true, and you can also just do tiny text if you don't have it installed already. All right, and that's kind of about it, I guess. Let me show you what we have now so far. Scroll all the way up at the top, zoom out a couple of times, so you can see there's a summary. Of course, you want to change a lot of this stuff. You don't want the bullet points up there. I'm just showing you how to do that, right? Education, links, achievements, notable experience. You can put all the experience in there. You have publications, you have the community projects, and that's kind of it. I think it's a very healthy structure, very semantic, not a lot of fluff, and it's good enough. If you have the kind of achievements that you have, then you don't have to, add all kind of like fancy pie charts, a graph, visual bar charts. That's too much, right? So just keep it simple. I usually tend to have a few bullet points up there if I'm looking for a job. I haven't write a CV for a long time, so this is something that you can find from my LinkedIn. I just copy and paste in there. But then there's the work summary in there, and then I would just skip to education, achievements. You can talk about some of your work experience there under notable experience, and then publications. If you have a ton of like work experience, maybe you're very experienced. I don't know, I'm 33 years old, I don't have that much experience, but if you're 40 or 60 watching this video, if you're 60 years old, nobody's judging you. But probably streamline it a little bit. You don't want to put all the work experience from all the way from 1950s, 1960s. Maybe talk about some of the more notable ones. And then publications, if you have any, put them in there. And then community projects, put them in there as well. And that's kind of it. Actually, make sure that you have your contact name, numbers, all of these are updated so they can find you if they want to. This is the email that they can contact you at. So that's kind of it. Let me just show you that all of this still works. If I were to change the format and change all of this to Hinman, save that, and it should still work. Perfect, it should still work, right? But you have all of this details still out there, but now it's in layout in a different format. You can see that this is the style of the points, the bullet points. This is the ordered list, unordered list, and there's the bow, education, links. In fact, it takes away the links, and now you just have that, and achievements, notable experience. So I guess pick one that you like. There are altogether 6 templates, and I'll show you how to swap out the template and move things around. So go ahead, try and experiment with that. If you need any help, leave it in the comment section. Tell me what kind of help you need, and I'll gladly come and assist you. For now, I'm gonna switch it back to Awesome CV because I really like that. I don't know why. It's just Awesome CV is just so much. I think it looks good. Very simplistic, very semantic, very beautiful. Just give me the main details, and I think the layout looks absolutely wonderful. So if you find this video instructive and useful, share it to a friend, subscribe, and check out my other videos on my channel. I have a ton more about programming in R and Python, data science, machine learning, blockchain, all kind of stuff. So I'll see you in the next video. You guys have a nice day. Bye.